Hello everybody, it's Willy the Composer, and I'm going to make a midterm prediction video. I wasn't going to make a prediction. A lot of people don't make predictions because they're scared to be wrong. I don't give a fuck. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. This predicted blue wave that Trump is supposed to suffer is not going to happen. And I am saying it right now, there will be no blue wave. To me, a proper blue wave would be the Democrats take the House and the Senate. Even if by a little bit they have to take both the House and the Senate. Well, the Senate, that looks like it's done for. The Senate's not happening. I use Real Clear Politics for all my polling information. Even with the toss-ups, it still shows the Republicans are holding majority. All they have to do is win the states that they lean in, Tennessee and Texas, which, forget about it, Democrats aren't taking that. So all they have to win is one of these toss-ups. Missouri, likely. Florida, likely. Other ones I think are quite likely as well, including Montana and Arizona. I don't have a lot of faith in the Democratic senators there. Most people agree, most pollsters agree, it really does look like the Republicans are going to keep the Senate. So as far as I'm concerned, that's not a blue wave. But then you say, but the House of Representatives. What if Trump is stuck with a House that he can't get shit passed through, that he can't get his budgets passed through? He won't be able to get funding for the wall. No wall. That's bad for him in a 2020 re-election campaign. And I say, you know what? It's not a blue wave, but you're right. Democratic House of Representatives would hurt Trump. Well, I'm going to make the bold prediction that even the House of Representatives will not go Democratic, and I'm not pulling this out of my ass either. And I'll show you how I'm not. Again, I get all my information from Real Clear Politics. They're just a polling aggregator. They put news articles from all around the internet. They really don't show any bias as far as I can tell. They just take everybody else's polls. So however biased those polls are, whatever. But they take all the polls and they average it together. Those polls are really showing the Republicans are going to pick up seats. Right now they only have 51. It's likely they're going to end up the night with 52, 53, 54, 55. If they even won the leaning Democratic seats as well, they could even pick up the fabled 60-seat supermajority. But that's just kind of a pipe dream, but that would be amazing if they had a supermajority in the Senate. That would mean no more obstruction at all. Whatever Trump wanted to do, he could do. Any appointments, Supreme Courts in the future, whatever, that's going to be in Trump's pocket. So anyways, let's get on to the House, and I'll show you what I've done for the House. The light gray spaces are safe seats for whatever party, Republican or Democrat, is there. Mostly Republicans. So really, just looking at the safe seats, I mean, you can see 173 safe, 149 safe. They also have these toss-ups, 45 for the Republicans and 30 for the Democrats. For the sake of argument and for the sake of simplicity, I'm only going to focus on those 38 toss-ups. So let's just go with Real Clear Politics. Let's trust these polls, and let's say that it really is all the leans and likelies are going to go for Democrats and all the leans and likelies are going to go for Republicans. So let's just look at 203, 194 as our baseline. To get the majority in House of Representatives, you have to have at least 218 seats. I'll have you know that I use Microsoft Excel frequently. I am a spreadsheet nutcase. I mean, if you just look in my spreadsheets folder, you can see that I have a vast array of various spreadsheets and all kinds of things like that. And I'm definitely a spreadsheet nerd. There's different. I have to spread them into different things. You wonder what I do in my free time? I play video games, I watch YouTube, and I make spreadsheets about anything, about history. Like here's a historic events spreadsheet that I've been working on, so it shows different historic events for different years in history and what happened in the world that year. Anyway, you want to hear about the House. As new polls came out and totals came out on Real Clear Politics, every month or two I would come out and update each race based on what it was ranking them at the time. There were different primaries, so I had to update it with who was running, what the status of them were. So I took all this data and I collected it over the months. And what I did was I took everybody who wasn't safe and put them into this spreadsheet. So I just copied the information over, and I basically just laid out the prediction that everything likely and leaning Democratic as of right now I put into the Democrat column, and everything likely and leaning Republican as of right now I put into the Republican column. So that left the 38 toss-ups here in the middle. So I moved the toss-ups over into this chart. Now this chart, you can notice a couple things. First of all, on the left there are the incumbents, in parentheses are the ones replacing incumbents. You saw there was a lot of retirements, a lot of Republican retirements, as well as Democratic ones. But you can see of the 38 toss-ups, only 5 of them are currently held by Democrats. So you think that it might be a slight advantage to Republicans, and as you can see, look at the CPVIs, most of them are usually Republican districts anyways. And not even that, of the 5 Democrats running in these 38 toss-ups, 3 are new contenders. Only 2 of them are incumbents. So all these Democrats are trying to take the seats from these Democrats. 15 of them have to beat the Republican to get in. So these ones are all toss-ups as of right now, and you can see some of them have had different statuses. Some of them went from safe to toss-up. That happened with the Republicans more often than the Democrats, as you can see. Some of them went from leaning Democrat into being toss-ups. But basically what I did was I went through the polls, and I looked at the polls. So here's how it stands right now. 203 for Democrats, 38 toss-ups, 194 for Republicans. If you look at the polls, these I basically went through and clicked on every district on the Real Clear Politics website. So I literally went like this, Florida 27, let's see, Montana at large, for example. And I looked and I saw, okay, I took note of the Trump and Romney numbers, and then I looked at the polls. There's not that many polls. 3 is actually a lot. Most of them don't even have a calculated RCP average. A lot of them I had to come up with the spread myself. But for example, you can see John Forte is in a district that voted for Trump by 20, which was an improvement over Romney, and he's still leading in the polls by +3 on average. Granted, the most recent was a tie, which is why it's in the toss-up category, but I'd say that one, even though it's considered a toss-up, would go for John Forte, and as you can see, I put it there for John Forte. So anyways, going just off the polls and the spread that was given in the polls, I laid out who would win based on the polls alone between Democrats and Republicans, and as you can see, I ended up with 222, 213. Coincidentally, it went half and half. 19 of the polls led me towards Republicans, and 19 of the polls led me towards Democrats. An even split, 19 out of 38. So if that happens, that's a Democratic majority. It's very skinny. It's only by 5 seats. And like I said, most of these seats, there's like very little polling information, which is why a lot of people aren't making predictions, just because the polling information is so scant, and because this looks like it's gonna be a close one. So it's really hard to make a prediction. Really professional statisticians and people with a lot more information than I have are saying there's 85% chance that it will be Democratic. Maybe if you took all the factors that exist now and ran the election through a simulator 6 times, 5 of the times Democrats would win. So that's essentially what we mean, what they mean when they say 85% chance. It doesn't mean like colloquially 85% chance where we think that that's a sure victory. If something's 85% likely, we're going to go for it. Well, think of it more like this. If you were going to take a pill to fix a headache and there was a 15% chance that it might kill you, or do you feel so secure in that victory? Do you feel so secure in taking that pill? Are you going to take that pill? These are the numbers by how much they voted for Clinton or Trump or Obama or Romney. So you can actually see a trend. Like, for example, this district went more Republican. This one actually stayed the same. So went by a wider margin for Republican. You can see some flips that went Republican to Democrat, and you can see some that went Democrat to Republican. And most of them got stronger, but a lot of these toss-ups are flips from Democrats to Republicans. Trump brought voters out and made the district go a lot redder than it had before. For example, in Minnesota, you can see 9.8 to 30.8. So these big swings, I decided to take it upon myself to put President Trump more into the polls and kind of adjust the results and the outcomes based on how much they voted for Trump. So if they swung for Trump by a margin of 5 or 7 points from where they were in 2012, if they went Republican hard in 2016, I flipped it from the poll Democratic to Republican, especially if the poll lead was only very small and there were very few polls, which was the case for almost all of them. So I also did flip some from Republican to Democrat based on their voting habits in presidential elections, like here. So as you can see, I ended up flipping a lot of these Democratic polls to the Republican when you add in the Trump effect. Is this Trump's election? A lot of people say it is. I actually tend to agree with that. Trump's campaigning hard every day, all over the place, in every state, as if he was on the ballot. And a lot of these are in these toss-up districts. So I ended up flipping the script, 213 to 222. This is my official prediction. And this isn't based on any projection other than the data that we have. With my limited knowledge of statistics, I say that the polls flip it for Trump and not for the Democrats. They appear a slightly more Democratic on the surface, but if you work in the Trump effect of how these districts are swinging from election cycle to election cycle, you know, this one, for example, you see, I decided to go with right here, to flip these districts and give a 5-seat advantage to the Republicans, and I think they will hold a slim majority. And if that happens, if they do pick up 3, 4, 5 seats in the Senate and hold a very slim majority in the House, that's all Trump needs to do, pretty much anything he wants to do, and there's no question he'll be reelected in 2020. So I also think even if the Democrats did win the House, there's a good chance he could be reelected in 2020, just because he can say, well, you wanted your wall, couldn't get it because of that stupid Democratic House. They don't want the wall, and they still don't want the wall. So there it is. I think Trump's going to be in pretty good hands in 2020, no matter what happens on November 6th. All that said, that's my official prediction. There will be no blue wave. Republicans will take the House. They'll pick up houses. They'll pick up seats in the Senate, and they'll just barely claw onto the House. I mean, they'll be hanging by their fingernails. If a couple of guys die, they could be screwed and lose their majority. So I really hope this happens, because fuck Nancy Pelosi. I do not want her in charge. And even if the Democrats win and they do kick out Nancy Pelosi and put someone else as Speaker, I still don't want that to fucking happen, because I want to see Trump make more progress. This economy has been amazing, and as far as the whole immigration issue, which gets me so pissed off, the Democrats have gone insane. The only thing new they have to offer is insane socialist things like Bernie Sanders. But all those actual political issues aside, if you look at the numbers, what the people in the country want, and also knowing that polls tend to have a bias against Republicans. Republicans don't even like to answer polls. If they're asked if they like to complete a poll, they're already more likely to be a Democrat. So, listen. You can look at President Trump's approval rating in 41, 42, 43, 44%. It's been within that margin for the past year and a half. Doesn't sound great. Guess what? Not a lot of those people are going to vote. If you look at congressional leanings, it's already like 6-7 points Democrats up as far as the House goes. But that's the whole nation totals. You've got to look district by district. That's the only way to do it. Same thing, they used to always do those polls. Oh, Clinton's ahead of Trump. 10 points in the national polls. No, you got to look state by state. You got to look at the Electoral College, and you got to look at the way these districts are leaning over time. And they are trending to the red. They are trending to the Republican. They're trending to the right. that's my final word. Thanks for watching. Hope you get to see this, and I hope I'm not wrong. You can go ahead and make comments criticizing me, but we'll go ahead and see. All you have to do is wait a day, and you can see just how right or wrong I was. You know, what use is there making arguments when we can just see the results? So, I just wanted to put that out there, my thoughts. I have been watching this very closely. There's a lot more to talk about, but this is mostly about showing you the things that I've been doing in my spare time. And I have many, many more spreadsheets to go through. If you want to look at a couple of the other ones, I can do that later. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for watching. Peace out, bro. Woo! Fuck, and then the 2020 presidential campaign starts tomorrow. It'd be so much easier if I didn't care about politics. Why do I have to care about politics?